Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know it's been quite a while, but I'm back. Whether it's for a long time or for not, I guess we'll just see how this goes. So today is let's call it a Throwback Thursday. And I know the green screen's not helping much because it's very poor, but Throwback Thursday. So today I'm going to be covering, as you might have read from the Uncharted, um, from the title of the video, Uncharted 1, Nathan or Drake's Treasure. The story of the game, at least. Just kind of going back to an older game. I know I reviewed the movie pretty similarly, but today I'm going to be going over the first Uncharted game and my thoughts on it. It's specifically why I really like the game, because I didn't grow up playing Uncharted, and it wasn't until I played it recently, because I realized that I had had this game for quite some time and I had never actually touched it. And as I go through the Uncharted series, I might review each of them rather than just this one, but I guess we'll see how it goes from there. So, Uncharted 1. I think one of my favorite things starting off in this game was starting out in the game, because other games, you have to build up to knowing who your character is, whether it be in the introduction to the game, a prelude to the game, anything. In this game, you're kind of just thrown into Nathan Drake's life, which I personally really appreciate that, because um I don't feel like I have to know everything about his past to understand who he is. I know that he's looking for treasure. I know that he has a friend named Sully, and I know now that he has a girl with him that's recording the whole thing. Simple as that. And whether it gets more complex throughout the story, the narrative still continues as Nathan Drake searches for treasure. And honestly, the treasure was not bad. The find throughout the game was good. And I will say, for Uncharted, I didn't know much about the game series other than what the fourth game had. I saw people play the fourth game when it came out, and then I also saw the movie, obviously. So walking in, I had expectations of it being a relatively realistic, adventure game where you search for treasure and you fight people. Well, have a gunfight, obviously. And for the most part, that's what I got. Um, you're searching for a treasure, you're being hunted down by people that want the treasure to sell it to the highest buyer. And then comes late in the game. Late in the game, about because there's 22 chapters in the game in total. I want to say about 16, chapter 16. You find a Nazi research facility underneath the chapel in which you've been searching for the treasure. Realizing the treasure was under you the whole time, which you learned that right after you were there. You stumble upon this Nazi base, like I said, except you're not really being chased by humans anymore. They're there, and the enemies are still present with guns. However, there's these, like, if anybody's known Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8, the Lycans, the main enemies in Village, the zombified, like, wolf like people, or more similarly, um I guess the idea of a Wendigo, especially brought throughout Until Dawn, um, these human-like creatures that are pouncing on all fours, coming to get you, was a complete throw-off through the entire game. Because, like I said, you're basically playing this adventure story, and then bam, this is just thrown at you. Again, I was expecting realism, and I got this. I was thrown off, but it wasn't a turn-off. It wasn't like, oh, so Uncharted just this now, they're just gonna throw something in. And the story implications weren't terrible, because come to find out, all of the Spaniards and the Mayans and whatnot that were looking for the treasure hundreds of years before never left. These are those people. And the treasure, they succeeded. The main guy that you were trying to find, um, my mind is blanking now. Sir Francis Drake. His goal wasn't to find the treasure and leave with it. It was to keep the treasure there and keep it from leaving. Because this treasure, once opened, being a sarcophagus, it would release this almost spirit-like power into the air, and kind of like an air spread infection. Except it would turn these people from being normal humans into these lichen zombie-like creatures that just kill people relatively without reason. It's not like you're coming for the treasure, you're gonna die. No, that's not happening. So why is it happening? The only real explanation you get in the game is it's cursed. And honestly, for me, that's all I need. I didn't need this elaborate explanation like, oh, this, that, this is why it's happening because this person back here, blah, blah, blah. It is the way it is. It makes sense that way, and I like it. So, all in all, I mean, that was probably the weirdest turn of events throughout the entire thing. Um, but it wasn't bad. Like I said, I enjoyed it. Learning more and more about Nathan Drake is kind of cool because he's a somewhat realistic character. I don't think anybody I know or have seen can climb rocks and vault the way he does in the game, swinging from rock to rock on the side of a wall. But it's cool to do nonetheless. And as I know, this franchise does end at game 4, which I can appreciate because a lot of popular game franchises will drag on, not necessarily in a bad way, but once you make one game, it does good. You know what? Let's make another one. You make 2. You know what? People actually kind of like this stuff. Let's make 3. You know what? How about we just make an entire franchise, okay? So they end up making game after game after game after game after game. And after a while, they might start to lose their meaning. Or they can just continue to make games, some bad, some get better, some don't. You know what? It's what it is. I think the ending of Uncharted 4 is a good one. I think it closes out the chapter of life that Nathan Drake had, meanwhile still, painting him in a good way. I can't really think of too many franchises offhand that end and feel satisfying. I would say Halo because Halo is very close to me. However, Halo to a lot of people should have ended at 3 or Reach, but 343 decided to keep making more. And I like the games. The story could be a little better in some of them, but overall the games aren't bad. They could be at some points when you're playing, but we don't talk about Halo 5. That just didn't happen, okay? But yeah, back to Uncharted. I look forward to playing the second and third one. And I might make a review on them. That's kind of it. I say overall though, Uncharted Drake's Treasure or Uncharted 1, it was a pretty solid game. It wasn't as long as I thought it'd be. I looked it up somewhere and I think I read the whole collection. It was like 17 hours, but I ended up spending 4 or 5 hours ish on the game. Just kind of running through it. I found a decent bit of treasure. The treasure is not hard to find, but it's rewarding relatively when it is because you don't get in-game, well, you do get in-game rewards, but it's not like stuff that you just get and never use again. It's like skins and stuff that you can change or concept art and whatnot. But I'd say a good 8 out of 10 for first impressions. 8 out of 10. I don't know if you have any different opinions than me on the rating or the overall review of the game, whether it be the scoring, because I genuinely did like the music in the game. And before I end this, I gotta say, out of a lot of popular games that I've played, or even unpopular ones, out of all the games I've played, story-based games, single-player campaign, Uncharted, I never really felt like there was filler. Like I was just doing something just to lengthen the time of the game. whenever there were action parts of the game, I didn't feel like I dreaded this. Like, oh man, I just got to kill more people just to blow more time, just to get past this. Oh, just throw in some goons there, just throw him some over there. You know what? He'll fight. And when you're not fighting people, it kind of feels good, almost like you're taking a fresh breath of air, knowing that you're not having to fight people, and instead just traversing the area. Because when there's not a cutscene or you're not fighting people, Drake is usually talking to somebody. And if he's not, then the music in the background definitely makes the game a lot easier to play. Because again, I really don't feel like I'm wasting time in the game just traversing a level instead of fighting somebody or watching a cutscene. It feels rewarding when I do get to a cutscene or the final boss, Some enemies are a little harder to fight, but there's the dodge mechanic, which almost immediately negates the enemy as long as you dodge a bullet, which is nice. But yeah, overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. If you have any different opinions or just want to tell me about mine, why they're wrong, why they're right, please do so in the comments. I will try to respond if I see them. Thank you for watching the video, as it does mean a lot to me, especially if you made it this far. Like, wow, it blows my mind. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.